Welcome to a special edition of the Referrals podcast. Introducing our new Daily Dose. We've assembled the ultimate crisis response team for your business. Generous leaders from around the globe teaming up to teach, guide, and lead you through this time of isolation and quarantine. Now let's meet your host, Michael J. Maher.
Hey everybody, this is Michael J. Maher with another episode of the Daily Dose of Positivity and Productivity. Today is the gift of the shift. Are you telling me that this whole thing could be a gift? Absolutely. We are going to talk about that with our very special guest today, Mr. Shaun Rawls, one of my very favorite people on the entire earth. We're going to have him on in just 1 second. Now, a few announcements. First of all, I got to give a shout out to Jamie Apuna from Hawaii. Can you believe they're still delivering things from Hawaii? She wrote me the best note. Jamie Apuna, I love you, but she didn't stop there. She sent me a shirt, Every Day Better. We have talked about like every day, how do we get better? Success is not a 180-degree turn or a 180-degree pivot or a 180-degree whatever. It is a 1-degree tweak. Each and every day, let's get 1% better, 1-degree tweak better. And so thank you so much for that, Jamie. I really appreciate that. Another shout out right out of the chute, Karen Sharpless. Karen, welcome back to the family. Karen wrote me the most awesome note. And then, you know what? She signed up for coaching this week. So Lori Knutson has another wonderful coaching client. And I just want to welcome Karen to the family, back to the family. And you're in great hands with Lori Knutson. She is the coach of coaches. She's excellent at that. Now, this week, listen, what we should do is just cancel the Daily Dose after today. Are you kidding with who we've already had? Bob Berg, Todd Duncan, Steve Harney, Dan Balter, Tim Brahim. We've had Nick Santonastasso. Today, Shaun Rawls. It should just be over, right? I mean, it's just like drop the mic. We're done. You know what? No. We're going to keep going. Tomorrow is Jeff Fitzer out of St. Louis. He is going to talk to you. How do you build your brand through social media video? How do you build your brand? How do you become more referable on social media using one tool? And that tool is video. On Wednesday, it is April 22nd. For those of you from Kansas City who know me from way back, listen, April 26th has always been Earth Day birthday. It is Earth Day, but it's also Sherry's birthday, my wife, and it is Miles, our dog's first birthday. How cool is that? So we're going to celebrate on April 22nd. April 23rd, Tammy Ebright, the DISC expert. She is a DISC expert. She's going to come and talk about behavior profiles and how we're dealing with the crisis. And then it's a secret. I could tell you, but I have to kill you. So I'm not going to tell you. On Friday, we have a special surprise guest. Listen, you are going to want to make sure you are on the Daily Dose, April 24th at 1 p.m. Also, we always talk about what have you been pleasantly surprised about when it comes to the quarantine times. Now, I've shared a million different things that I've been pleasantly surprised about. Today is essentially day 14, and on the 14th day, I have been pleasantly surprised at how nervous my wife is about Wednesday's episode. I have been pleasantly surprised that like she is like nervous. You can't make this woman nervous for anything. So she's like come up with an acronym. She's working on all these different things, and it's just like, I thought it was just going to be like a conversation between the two of us. But anyway, she loves to go above and beyond and deliver the goods. So in the comments below, everybody put PS, which means pleasantly surprised, PS, and then what have you been pleasantly surprised about when it comes to quarantine times? And Sherry will tell me what you're saying on those comments. And I will tell you, like, this is one of the most powerful things we can really look at is what have we been pleasantly surprised about? What are some things that we've had to take the time to stop and look at that maybe we would not have noticed before? Or what was something that we wouldn't have been doing because we would have been doing something else that we are now doing that is just a huge aha. I have to give a shout out to Neil Smith and Shalee Davis. They had a guest on 30 Mornings last week that has made a profound impact on me and my guided meditation time. And I will tell you that we are going to show that one episode of 30 Mornings to everyone, so all of you can see it. Now, we know a lot of you have paid for that. You've been in 30 Mornings. You're kicking butt on that. And by the way, we are doing 30 Mornings in May. So go to 30mornings.com to sign up for that. But here's the thing. We are going to give you a taste of 30 Mornings. Can you change your life in 30 Mornings? Yes, you can. And I cannot wait for you to see that episode. And then last but not least of the action items. Oh, give me a pleasantly surprised. You got a pleasantly surprised there?
Mary said she's surprised that her husband is actually cooking. This has never happened before.
What's Mary's last name? All right. Mary Budendeck said that her husband is actually cooking, and she has been pleasantly surprised by his cooking. And I have to tell you, that is a good one. So let's see. Orly Steinberg, only Orly. She's one of my favorite people. Her pleasantly surprised offers on 3 listings this week. Are you telling me there's still real estate to be had? Real estate is still happening? P.S. Jennifer Scarpero, making bread is easy. Oh, please, dear God, don't tell Sherry that. No bread for me. No bread, no alcohol, no dairy, no sugar. And you know what? Today I've had all 4, right? Patty Lucas says, I am exercising every day. How about that for a pleasantly surprised? P.S. I love you. Here we go. Now, the last action item, and you know where I'm going with this, right? We've already created the Facebook group. You guys have created your Facebook groups. You're leading your Facebook groups. You need to do a watch party in your Facebook group right now. And you're like, no, those are all consumers. They're not realtors. I'm the only realtor. I know. Today's lesson is the gift of the shift. We're going to not just talk to realtors. We are talking to people who want an effortless life. We are talking to somebody who want literally more out of life. Start your watch party now. You know how to do it. Go up in the top right to the 3 dots, click on it, hit share. Hit share. It says start watch party. Click it. It'll say, where do you want to put it? Choose your group, and you have started your watch party. Now, the one last action item is you are at 125, right? We are putting together our top 150 people in our life. And that's the goal. Now, some of you are brand new to the show. Welcome to the Daily Dose. Welcome to the Generosity Generation. And you will just need to add 25 to your list this week. It's the top 25 people by energy, by positivity. No negative Nellies, no Debbie Downers. All you're doing is identifying the top most energetic and positive people in your life. Do they need to be referral sources? Not necessarily. Will they become referral sources? Probably. But here's the thing. For those of you that have been with us through every episode, we are now at adding 25. By the end of this week, you will be at 125, and you need to have 50 VIP forms done. Now, Angela Gibbons, I want you to be at 100. I want you to be at 100 VIP forms filled out, because you're way ahead of everybody else. But everybody else, 50 VIP forms right here. You can find it in the file section. So by the end of the quarantine, you will have identified 150 of your top people in life, and you will have 150 conversations with them, leading to 150 VIP forms, leading to 150 power notes. And that's it. That's all you're going to do from the Daily Dose is those action items. Create and lead a Facebook group, 150 of your top people, 150 conversations, 150 VIP forms, and 150 handwritten notes. And guess what? The result will be more referrals than you've ever dreamed possible. Speaking of making dreams possible, my guest today is one of my best friends. And he probably would not say that about me. I'm okay with it. But here's the thing, is I want you to know that this is one of my favorite people on earth. And this is a guy who, when you're looking to have a high-minded conversation, truly reflective, truly loving, vibrating at a high frequency, lives in love, and truly walks the walk as well as talking the talk, my good friend, and soon to be your good friend, Mr. Shaun Rawls. Welcome to the Daily Dose of Positivity and Productivity, Mr. Shaun Rawls.
Dude, you could be my wingman anytime with an introduction like that. I am all over it.
What's amazing is I didn't even mention all your accolades, you know.
I don't want you to.
$4 billion in real estate company production.
If I'm your friend, I don't need accolades, buddy. The rest of the resume is moot. It's just, I know Michael Maher. We're buddies. I mean, that's an entree into the White House. I can go anywhere with that.
Well, maybe. but
anywhere.
So first and foremost, how you doing? Right? How you doing? Everything good on your front?
Buddy, I'm way better than I deserve to be. I think I wake up happy. First of all, I wake up. That's a good thing, right? I wake up happy. I have a good day. I was going to ask you this. I'm getting more sleep than I've ever gotten. Jerry and I were talking about the other day. I mean, literally, I think we're getting 9 to 10 and a half hours a night of sleep on average. Whereas we're used to getting maybe 7 or 7, somewhere 7 to 8. We're clearly getting an hour and a half to 2 hours more sleep a night. And I got to tell you, it feels good.
I want everybody to comment on this below are you getting less, the same, or more sleep right now? I will tell you that in the beginning, I honestly was getting less sleep. Now it seems like the body has kind of settled, and I've kind of got into some of these like quarantine rituals, if you will. And now I'm getting so much more sleep, and it's not just more sleep, it's better sleep. I've slept so well the last week that it is amazing. Sometimes maybe I shouldn't disclose this on a daily dose, but sometimes I'll take an Advil PM,
sure,
if it's the night before I'm speaking or whatever it may be. And it's like, I haven't needed my Advil PM at all for the last week. It's been pretty amazing. So in the comments below, just put a plus if you're getting more sleep, put a 0 if you're getting the same amount of sleep, and put a negative if you're getting less sleep now. So we'll see we'll tally those up and figure out.
Well, you talk about you were getting less to start with, right? And that's probably not uncommon. I mean, if you think about what we've been through, right?
Yeah.
I think anytime you go through a massive change, I mean, whether you're in an accident or something happens in your family or something happens economically or with your business, there's an immediate pushback on reality, right? I mean, you're trying to control something you can't control. Even if you're not conscious of it, your body's trying to figure out a solution. But once you get over that, it's almost like running or exercising. In the first 10 or 15 minutes, you want to quit. And then once you hit that mark, you're like, oh, wait, I can go another 10 or 15 minutes. You just you break through that initial resistance wall that you kind of build up. And I think sleep's a good indicator of whether you're kind of settling into things a little bit and getting more comfortable with your surroundings, or more comfortable. Maybe you're having a little less anxiety than you were having, or maybe you're more hopeful about where this is leading, or maybe you've been able to see some of the things in your life or your business that this has done some truly great things in your life for. But you would have never noticed it if you hadn't had to pull over and pit stop, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we were all going 150 miles an hour, and then we hit and we're at 0. And now we get to check our gas, we get to check our tires, we get to wash the windshield, we get to vacuum the carpet, we need to, all this stuff that we're doing that we've always said, I'm just so busy, I can't. If I have more time, maybe I could. Well, now we've really got the time to do some of the things that we were pushing off on our plate. And I think it's probably serving a lot of us well. And I think sleep's a really good indicator of that. I'm telling you, I feel better. I'm exercising every day like a beast. Every day. I mean, I take one day off a week just because I need to recoup. But I'm sleeping more. I'm exercising more. We're eating super healthy. It's been great. And I hope everybody's having the opportunity to kind of settle down, settle in, and kind of prepare, because what's going to happen is, as soon as they open up this economy wherever anybody lives, right? And that's the big question. When is the green light, when's the red light going to turn green, and when do we go again?
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to start thinking about what do we want to not do when we hit the gas again? What have we learned that we don't want to take with us back on the track when we get back out there? What were some of the habits that in retrospect we can see were not good for us, or good for our family, or good for our psyche, or good for our business? And how do we create more balance, or how do we bring some of these things we're now more clear on what should be priorities in our life? How do we carry that with us when the undertow picks back up and starts pulling at us and pulling us away from what we really want to do?
I love that. And it goes to, in the very first episode where I announced the Daily Dose, I did CR 101, which is Crisis Response 101, and it was mess or success. And I probably should have called it like distress or success, but it was
Sure.
mess or success. And what does success look like in the quarantine times? And I laid out an acronym with success. And the first C in success was clarity. And what's interesting is that I think that might have been the hardest one. It was structure, which is you, and then clarity, communicate more, energy, serve, and then strategy, right? So it was structure all the way in the end was strategy. And it was one of those where it's like I think the hardest one for people to really wrap their hand around was clarity, and it probably has taken 2 or 3 weeks for people to finally get some of that clarity of what is the most important thing in life, and that we need to keep the most important thing, and that's the most important thing. And it's one of those where it's like, what have we become clear about? And the only way to really wake up to that is to stop and reflect, and to really just they're calling this not the Great Recession. They're not calling this a shift or a pivot or anything like that. What a lot of people are calling this is like the Great Pause.
I've heard the Great Reset, which is great.
Or the
too.
Great Reset. So what do you love about the Great Pause or the Great Reset? Why is this the Great Pause or Great Reset?
I think it's the quietness. I think everybody's had to get comfortable with the quiet. One of the chapters in my book, Effortless, is float, if you recall.
Yes.
And float is about turning the engine off and doing nothing, and the power of just listening to the universe and letting it kind of push you in the direction that you're supposed to go, not the direction you think you want to go.
Right.
And floating is really the art of doing nothing and embracing it and being still. You mentioned meditation earlier.
Yeah.
That's a short daily version of float. But we've all been given this gift of a float where you can pedal as fast as you want, but it's not productive. And I think the productivity right now is in the stillness, and it is in the pause, and it's embracing the pause. It's looking at the pause. It's thinking about the pause. But we've been kind of at that, going up this point of, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there? How close are we? How close are we? How close are we? But I really think people are going to get caught not shifting their thinking to, man, what have I really loved about this time, if I'm honest with myself? And and who says that only has to exist because we've been in this float period? I want to make a couple of rules that I take with me when I go down the hill of this thing and we start gaining steam again. And I think people really need to start. I think it's a good way to think about this in a more productive way now that we're probably more than halfway through. And instead of thinking about the same thing of when's the green light, when's the green light, when's the green light, it's what am I going to take with me? Start assuming that you're about to hit the gas. Start assuming that you're about to get busy again. Start assuming that you're about to go back to having all the problems and stresses that you dealt with on a daily basis that you've kind of been shielded from. What are you going to take with you? What's going to make a difference for you going forward that this period has given you clarity on, right?
Yeah. That's you know what we should be calling this, Shaun? You know what you should be calling this? And I would support it like is the great float.
Yeah.
This is the great float. That's what this really, some are just, hoping to float, right? Trying to keep the ship afloat, which is fine. But what we have to discover is, okay, the ship is afloat. And it really leads me to this, floating is actually an uncomfortable experience for people. And it goes back to, like you were saying, with the guided meditation, but the one that I really thought of is like suspension tanks and the sensory deprivation tanks. Have you ever done that?
No, but I've heard it's pretty interesting.
I've done it once, and it was I should do it more often. It was one of those, like, why do I not do that more often? It's because I have to choose a lot of times between a cryo and a massage and the sensory deprivation tank. But I will tell you, the first several minutes freaked me out. Like, it freaked me out because it was just like, you really have no sensory, right? And then once you just kind of, and I had to like kind of tap into all my mental, I don't know what you would call them, like mental rituals to kind of like relax myself. It was just like, all right, 3, 2, 1, relax. And just like, kind of like, okay, let it go, just ease into it. Let it, all right, you're a little anxious, let it out. And then once you're in it, it's the most awesome experience ever. It does take some getting used to, but it is one of those where you get clarity. You get the best thing you can do. And I did not do this. I was just doing it to try it because, like, I'll try anything. But what they say is to have a problem, like have a challenge that you're struggling to overcome, and take it in with you and just see what happens. And a lot of times what happens is, in that super relaxed state, floating, you get supreme clarity. And I have to tell you, if I had one wish for the people that listen to the Daily Dose and watch the Daily Dose, it's clarity. Could they get a better gift from the shift than clarity about what really matters and what the most important things are?
No, they can't. Now, what they're looking for, though, is, and this is where I've been trying to explain when I've had an opportunity, is the clarity that you're looking for is not the clarity on the other side of this thing. It's right. Not the clarity of when this is going to end. It's not the clarity of how this is going to impact your business or your industry. It's not the clarity of how this is going to affect the economy or your stock portfolio or your 401k. This is about personal clarity. It's about 3-foot clarity. And you mentioned earlier, with having people put together their 150 energy sources.
That's right.
If you're not auditing the energy around you, because my guess is people feel there's a spectrum from, I feel great, I'm really good, this really hasn't been that big of a deal, to, oh my God, the sky is falling, right? There's a spectrum of that.
Yeah.
And my guess is that that if you're on the spectrum of, oh my God, the sky's falling, or somewhere on that half of the spectrum, you better take a look at your inputs, because I think that's a direct result of the energy that's around you more than it is with the energy inside of you. And who's holding your hand? What Facebook, even if you live alone and you're isolated and you've got nobody in your house, plugging into your podcast, talking to people. We're having happy hours at 5 o'clock with people that are awesome and fun and know you like crazy, that lift you up. Who are the people? Just because you're isolated doesn't mean you can't spend time with people who give you energy. We've seen that. That's been the gift of the shift, right? I mean, it's definitely been one of them. This whole technological leverage opportunity that we've all been part of has been amazing, and it's going to change business. It's going to change families. It's going to change balance. It's going to change efficiency and profitability. But you're still plugged in. But the question is, who are you plugged into? And if you're on that spectrum where it's somewhere between neutral to the sky is falling, you need to get over here. And the only way to do that is to start reading better books, to start talking to smarter people, to start talking to people who are cooler, funner, smarter, more insightful, who care about you more, and who want to see you be better. And there are a lot of us out there that if you're on our team, we will do anything we can to pick you up, to make you better, to dust you off, pat you on the rear, and get you back in the game, That's just part of having the right tribe around you. And I think a lot of people think they have a good tribe, but one of the things I've said in my life, as I've learned, is when you go through crisis, whether it's a personal crisis or whether it's an economic crisis, the one thing that's surprising is who shows up. And the other thing that's surprising is who doesn't. Mm. And your job is to make sure that you consciously take forward the people that need to be in your life, that have been in your life, that showed up at the right times, that give you energy. And if you're missing somebody in that regard, then you need to start figuring out how to recruit some people to your team.
Mm. That is powerful, and it just it feeds into, like, with the Daily Dose. It's the daily dose of positivity and productivity, and I hope that everybody gets a little bit of both, right? Positive vibes and this productivity, which also leads to positive vibes. And so, Shaun, we've had them create a Facebook group and start leading a Facebook group, a place for the tribe to congregate, if you will, right? Let's bring them together. Another way to look at it, we said, is it's your own personal island, and you can invite 150 to party on the island with you. Who are you inviting to the party? And you can even call your Facebook group the blank blank island, right? The positive island, neighbors helping neighbors island, whatever you want to do. And you know, there's people who aren't doing this, Shaun. Like we've been talking about this for 3 or 4 weeks now, and they still haven't gone through their phone and identified like their top, you know, here's what's funny, right? So this speaks to we have these, you bring out the best in me, brother. And that's what I love about you. It's just like, you know, here's the truth. Like, we welcomed like 171 new members this weekend to the Generosity Generation. Well, welcome. And so today I said, okay, you can either add 25 of the most positive, energetic people from your life and just document it. Write it down on a whiteboard or an Excel or what piece of paper, whatever it may be. And then I said, hey, listen, those of you who've been with me a while, you're at 125 and you're doing 50 VIP forms. By the end of this week, you should be at 125 people identified, 50 conversations. And here's what I'll tell you is that why do I say the 25? And it's like, I'm overly gentle, like with the whole welcome. But I'm going to tell you what I've noticed that people do. The ones who are really owning this time is like Jana Caudell. I've got to give her a shout.
Love Jana Caudell.
Yeah. So here's what she did. She has a group with 3,000 people in 3 weeks. She said 3,000 people in 3 weeks. And here's the other thing is she has, when she came on, I said, all right, you need to have 100 and you need to have 25 conversations with VIPs and 25 VIP forms filled out. And that was for everybody. She did it in 1 week. You know what I mean? So it's like, here's what I know. I could say, oh, come on, just do 25 identifications and then there's this other group. It's like, all right, you need to be at 125 with 50 VIP forms filled out. And it's like, the ones who, here's the thing, the people who are just kind of like getting in there like 25, they're not going to do anything at all. Like, I don't even know why I say 25. I should say, listen, everybody, you should be at 125 and 50 by the end of this week. And then I'm going to get the same people. I'm going to get the people who don't do anything. And I'm going to get the people who literally are like, I mean, Karen Sharpless, you know, she's had a lot of things going on in her life. But you know what? She's doing this. Angela Gibbons is like kind of newer to real. She's doing this and she's seeing success. You know, it's like, it's like the opposite of fear is not faith. Like everybody's talking about, you need to get out of fear and get into faith. It's like, no, I get all that. It's all good. Right. And not to go away from the F word.
No, right. Sure.
But it's action. Like the opposite of fear is action. It is taking action, even if it's small action, even if you feel like it's insignificant action. The opposite of fear is action. And it's like, you know, it's just one of those where like this, I think this totally goes in with your effortless life, like live the effortless life. And
are you enjoying the Daily Dose? Want to connect with thousands of other business owners that are winning the referral game while working from home right now? Head over to the Generosity Generation Facebook group. Connect with leaders, visionaries, and business owners from all over the world. Go to www.joingengen.com. That's www.joingengen.com.
Why don't you kind of dive into that and break that down for us a little bit? With the FS, you've got the book coming out. You've got this. You've broken down really life down to a series of F words, and it's not the F word people think.
Well, it's not. I mean, it came to me a couple of years ago, in the idea that, change is something that people tend to back into, right? They don't like it. And the reason most people don't like change is because they're trying to change to somebody else's idea of change. Like if you work in a place and the boss says, we're going to change the way we do this, and we're going to do this from this now on, and I'm super excited. Everybody else is going to go, oh crap, right? So the only person who's excited about it is the person who architects it, right? Now, ultimately, once people see benefit, they'll be excited about it. But on the front end, change is something that people always push back on. So the purpose of the book is to say, stop backing into change. Stop saying F it as your way of changing by giving up or giving into it. Start thinking about the changes you want in your life and go, what if F it wasn't a bad word? What if F it was a positive word? What if it was a life-changing word? And what if you could truly architect and navigate the changes that you want to have in your life, but you've never really been honest with yourself about it? So we just kind of go through 18 different F words that you can read in random. I'm ADD, and you can pick up this book and read one chapter. It doesn't matter what order it's in. They all stand alone. They're all important. But the idea is, think about what you want and think about what you need to do. And I give great examples and steps of how to do that in baby steps, and you don't have to eat the whole thing at a time. It's I'm pretty proud of it, and it's I think once it gets out there and in the hands of people, it's going to make a splash, and it's going to help people live a better life and help them analyze what that is. And right now, gosh, if you've ever been in a situation where you've had the ability to really think about what's working for you, what's not working for you, what's really feeding your soul, what's sucking your soul, what's driving you to think about tomorrow and next year and the rest of my career. This is the time to do that. We've all been given this amazing opportunity to look around, to look in, to look out and go, that I like, that I don't like, you I like, you I don't like. Why do I still have you in my life? You should have been gone a long time ago. I'm going to trade you. Just think of yourself as the CEO of a professional sports team and going, I can get a better shortstop. You're out. I'm gonna upgrade. I'm gonna top grade. I'm gonna invest more in something that's gonna have a better return for me personally or professionally or spiritually or health wise. We've all got the opportunity to look at this in a way that's going to make lasting impressions and improvements in our life if we do it, right? And like you said, some will, some won't. And we can tell everybody what to do, and there's always going to be superstar results because there's people like a Janet Caudell who they're never going to do what everybody else. They're always going to do the +1 or +100 or +1,000 because that's just who they are. And I think if you want to, and here's what I will tell people is, if you want to find a reason to be upset or complain about what's going on, you can find a million reasons to validate it. You can find a million reasons. But if you want to think about why this thing has been awesome and what lasting improvements are going to come from it, you can find a million reasons to validate that process as well. It's really all what you choose. And I think, we tend to think that our thoughts are just our thoughts and they're who we are and we can't change our thoughts, but that's complete BS. You and I both know it.
Yeah.
That's why we have psychiatrists and psychologists and coaches like yourself to look at somebody and go, I don't think you're looking at that the right way. I don't think you should feel bad. I think you should feel excited. And all of a sudden somebody hangs up a coaching call and goes, oh my God, I feel 100 times better.
Yeah.
Because you had somebody guide you and you got the opportunity to latch on to a better thought process that's going to carry you through the day, the week, maybe the rest of your life, right?
Yeah, I love that. And it's just like, as you know, I help business owners build businesses and their lives based on love, generosity, and appreciation. And what's amazing is that like almost everything has a positive to it. It doesn't mean it's not realistic, right? It's just like, you know, what right now, maybe we don't quote unquote appreciate
Sure.
certain things, right? But what I have to tell you is we are going to appreciate this time. We are going to something and that's what I hope is that I'm kind of right now. You're right now. We're in this right now. And like we need, first of all, appreciate the now, appreciate what is. And we also need to look back at it like what I'm hoping during this time is that like, we all identify what we don't want to end when the all clear is sounded. Like, let's identify, what do we not want to end? And it boils down, Shaun, exactly to what you said is what lowers my energy, and that leads to who lowers my energy, and what makes my energy rise, what raises my energy, which leads a lot of times to that who raises my energy. And it's, you know, who is who we're hanging out with, what is the interest and hobbies or work that we're doing. And I said in the very first cast, it was like, what do you love the most about real estate? You know, I was talking to a realtor and I was like, what do you love the most about real estate? You know, what do you love the most? You know, and most people would say the freedom, you know, and it's one of those where you have infinite freedom in your life right now. You know, you have more freedom right now than ever before. And they're like, no, I can't go outside. Yes, you can.
Sure you
go
can.
outside, right? We have more freedom to choose what we do with our day right now than we've ever had before. And people are like everybody feels constrained. I mean, there's protests to the stay-at-home thing, right? And it's like, what? I mean, no offense, right? You can protest anytime. And that's what I've learned. Just like, it is what it is, right?
It's fear. It's fear.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least they're taking action, right? So, but I have to tell you, I was going to actually ask you, of the 18 F's that you wrote in Live the Effortless Life, right? Which was the F that you think most applies? And we have already discussed float, and I think I might have, like, I love that, right? The great float is, but is that it, or is there another one that you think really applies right now?
I think float applies the most. Now, yeah. I would also say that one of the other F's is a word called forking, right?
Yes.
And forking in the book is, in fact, I drew mine out in the book, and I went back to when I was trying to figure out where to go to college, and I took every major decision that I had in my life, and what I didn't choose and what I did. Where I chose to go to college, where I didn't. What I chose to do at college, what I didn't. What I ended up doing for a career, what I didn't. Getting married, not. Getting divorced, not. Right, you know, the whole thing. I mean, all the way down to where I am right now. All the way down
major decisions.
Major pivot points. Yeah. Now, here's what's interesting. When you look back, some of those decisions are decisions you went, I'm going to go left instead of right.
Right.
Some of those decisions you thought you were going to go left, and the world pushed you right. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe your spouse passed away. Maybe you got a divorce. Maybe you lost a child. Maybe, who knows what happened. But we all have things that happen that none of us ever would ask for.
Yeah.
But when we look back on it in hindsight and look back on that thing, you go, oh my God, if I didn't choose that, I might have never met my wife. If I didn't choose that, I would have never ended up with so-and-so or doing so-and-so or having so-and-so or doing this for a living. If I hadn't had that mentor that I can, and you look back in this forking thing, and I think what's happening right now is we're gonna in 3 to 5 years, we're gonna look back and we're gonna see this created a pivot or a fork in our life. We were heading this way. this event occurred and we ended up going this way because of it. And what's going to happen is some people's minds, you said before people's minds blew, they're going to completely explode when they look back and go, oh my God, I cannot believe what's happened to me. We saw it in the last shift. Look at the people that became the Courtney Newtons of the world, that became short sale millionaire real estate agents in like a period of 2 years because they did what no one else wanted to do. That fork created complete opportunity and changed people's lives forever, and nobody would have ever asked for it. And I think that we're going to see that now. You know, one of the questions I've put out there is, if you want a question to ask yourself right now, I think the most important question to ask is, when I look back in 3 to 5 years, when I look back on this time, what is it that I'm likely to regret because of the mindset and the behavior pattern that I have right now? Am I going to regret that I didn't embrace this more? Am I going to regret that I didn't exercise more? And I'm going to regret that I didn't eat better? And am I going to regret that I didn't do Michael's thing and get 150 people in a week instead of 6 weeks? What is about my mindset and my behavior that's going to cause me to regret this? Because if the green light happens tomorrow and you thought you were going to, because a lot of people think, well, it's going to be in a couple of weeks, or it's going to be in a month, or it's going to be in 2 months, whatever. But what happens if it happens sooner than that? And you were getting ready to get ready, and you never got ready, and now you got to hit the gas, and you were still getting ready to you were putting your makeup on, and you weren't ready to go.
Shaun, I'm there. Like, that's so funny is like, one of the concerns I have is that the quarantine time is going to end too early.
Right.
Think about that.
I know.
I mean, what a change of thought that is. I have to tell you, that's the truth. It's like, oh, no, I got like 2 or 3 things I want to get done before this ends, you know, and I literally, I have those, you know, and it's like, you hit it on the head is like this whole thing of the fork, right? Is, you know, which does kind of, as an upside, is 2 things. It reminded me of 2 things. One is, you know, if you come to a fork in the road, take it, right? You know, take the fork. Never mind. So
own it.
Well, you just come up to the road and there's actually a fork, like an
you
actual
have to
fork.
take it.
You take it, right? And then the other thing is you can't outrun your fork, right?
That's right.
Eating is 80% and exercise is 20%, and at least for me, that seems to be the truth.
That's right.
Then the other side, which led to the things that you were talking about, regret, is that I'm going to eat a little bit better. Right? I'm eating a little bit better, but it's like, I'm going to eat a little bit better. I'm not going to eat a lot better. I'm going to eat a little bit better. And I'm going to do a little bit more exercise. Like, since we've had this conversation, I can up my game in both of those. And then, Shaun, I have to tell you, I've got to get Sweet Dreams done. I've got to get this book done. I've had it. I've got the structure. It's like, it's not done. What needs to be done to make it done? And I've got to get Sweet Dreams out. It totally, like, how did we start our conversation today? We started it talking about sleep. And I am a huge advocate of this morning ritual. And I have been. And I partnered with Hal to write The Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents because I'm such a believer in the morning ritual. And the thing is like, I'm a huge believer in the morning ritual, but there's this other ritual nobody's really ever written about that I'm actually maybe even more a believer of. And that's the nightly ritual, you know, right. The Sunday night ritual and then the nightly ritual, because it's which affects your sleep more, the morning ritual or the nightly ritual. And what I've discovered is it's the nightly ritual that is actually affects my sleep the most. And sleep equals immune system. Sleep equals productivity. Sleep equals energy. You know, so sleep equals, like, all these people are working out and things like that. If you don't get the proper sleep, you're not getting the benefits of the workout. You're not.
That's right.
You know,
That's
so
right.
Sleep is recovery. Sleep is rebuilding. Sleep is actually where you build your muscles. I learned that way back when I was doing the bodybuilding in college, is that, you know, how important sleep really was. And so thank you for that motivation and inspiration. Is I have these 3 things that I'm going to do a little bit better at. And I don't say a lot better, because I know that if I say a little bit better, then I'll probably take it to the nth degree, you know? So, you know, isn't that funny though? What a thought is this could end too early. You know,
it could.
People are getting ready to get ready. You know, they're waiting for the round to it. listen, everybody on this podcast, Daily Dose of Positivity and Productivity, here is your round to it. This is a to it. This is your round to it. You were looking to get around to it. I just gave you a round to it, and now do it. Do it now. And like, don't let this end too early. I think one of the worst things that could ever happen to people is that they just did what they did before the quarantine during the quarantine. Like they're just doing it less. Like they're doing sales, they're doing real estate and that kind of thing. It's like, hey, good. You got to do that to survive financially and that kind of thing. But it's
have you ever been to Mardi Gras?
I have, yeah, actually. Yeah,
I
long
went
time ago. And
I went once in college.
Okay, yeah,
right?
that was
it's the only time I've ever crossed the street without moving my feet. Like it was that many people, and it was just I never want to be that uncomfortable again.
Yeah.
But I was just moving because I was in the crowd moving, and I think that people have been living their life.
It's exactly right. It's one of those where living the life just like in the flow of what everybody else wanted. And we have this opportunity now to really flow, right? To really flow. And you cut out there just a second, Shaun. So you may have to go through that example again. I'd love for you to go back into that. I started talking over you just because you're froze. So
got it. So, you were froze on my end. So okay. I got it.
All right. So you were talking about Mardi Gras and that you were basically going with the flow of the crowd. You literally moved down the street without moving your feet because the crowd was moving you.
It was so many people you couldn't move, and if wherever they went, you went. There was no going in a different direction or anything like that. And I think I've thought a bit about that because I really think a lot of people have been living their life in a similar fashion where they just do what they do, and people are just sleepwalking through life and through their business, and they're just doing what they're doing because that's what they've always done and that's what they do. And it's another day, and I get up and I do it and I do the same things and I go to bed. And it's just is even in real estate where it's not a routine job, we can make a routine out of anything where it's just another one and another one and another one and another one, and I go to sleep and I get up and I do it again and another one and another one and another one. And I think it's time to wake up. And if anything has happened in this shift that's been a gift, it's wake up, wake up and go to sleep. Wake up and go to sleep for more time. Wake up and look at your life for what it is. Wake up and, you talk about the opposite of fear. You do it every day. It's gratitude. I mean, if you want to erase fear from your life, start creating a list of the things that you're grateful for. And you've been the band conductor on gratitude ever since I've known you. And it's the number one treatment for fear, I think, for most people, because when you start looking at all the things that you don't have to complain about, it sure makes the things you're complaining about or fearful of look pretty small in comparison. And it really is what you're thinking about. And I think people wake up while you have a chance to wake up, while we're just sitting in this kind of floating state. Wake up and see everything and everyone for who they are, what it is, what impact it has on you, what impact it can or would have on you if you kept them, what impact they would have on you if you could bring them into your life, what impact your life would have if you got rid of them. I mean, it's time to do X's and O's, on the team, off the team, wax on, wax off, wake up.
I could not have said it better. This is like go from fear it or F it to float it, right?
Yeah.
So just like float it and fork it. I mean, right now we're in a float and we're at a fork and we have a real opportunity. And it is a wake up call. We have been on autopilot for a long time. And this has forced us, unfortunately, I'm going to use a word that truly is overused right now, which is pivot, right? Go from autopilot to pivot. And it's people, we are, sometimes we are fearful to think. And we really are awake, but we're also asleep. And this is really given us an opportunity to wake up. And I love that. And Shaun, you once again delivered and over delivered today. the gift and the shift might be Shaun Rawls. You know, that's the truth. And
I don't know about that.
I
want to say,
yeah, when is your book available, by the way?
I don't know. The publisher is pulling it till probably after the election. They don't like this whole cycle. So we'll see. One thing I want to say, Michael, because this is a daily dose of positivity, right?
Yeah.
And you've got people out there who are going to say, oh, well, these guys are just so positive. You can't tell me I've got issues we're not saying life's perfect right now.
Yeah.
We're trying to say, you can always make the best of any situation. And if you don't know that, go read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's be honest, before this shift, our lives weren't perfect either.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the problems we had here stopped, but now we have a different set of problems. And we have to make the best of it wherever we are. But nobody can say that what we're going through has changed everything and it's terrible, because you're saying that like your life was friggin' perfect before, and you're a coach, you know that. Yeah. People's lives are a mess, and they're probably a mess in ways that this thing can truly fix if they do what we're telling them to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and everybody's life is a mess. You can either be sad about it or you can be happy about it. Like, I'm happy that my life's a mess, but what's funny is my happy mess, some people would call a success, you know, and that's really how it is. I mean, everybody's a mess. And it's like, you know, I'm going to use the S word. There's only been one cuss word ever on the Daily Dose. I'm going to double that today. And it's like, everybody's like, man, I wish I could get my shit together. And I want you to know is that your shit will never be together. It's never going to be, you're never going to get your shit together. It's just like, live life, be happy, keep moving, keep doing great things for people, keep doing great things for yourself, keep doing great things for your family, guard who you hang out with, guard what you do. And guess what? That's the wake up call that we get right now, is that you don't have to like wallow in negativity. You don't have to wallow in those spaces and those things that negate you or like are toxic, you know? I think that's the biggest blessing, is that it's been a big giant wake up call.
I love it. But hanging around cool people like you that are serious about energy, that are serious about productivity, that are serious about living their best life, that's what people need. And I hope everybody's putting you on their list, by the way, because you'd be at the top of mine.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And you are at the top of mine. You're here right now. And I will tell you, so, I mean, we're out of time, right? I mean, it's like, that's how it goes when you have a conversation with Shaun Rawls, is like, I feel like I've scratched the surface.
We could go for hours.
Yeah. And I will tell you, that's why you have a book, you know, that people need to check out when it comes out, and they need to make sure they get it. And Shaun, I just want to say thank you so much for being our guest today on the Daily Dose. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for having me. But more importantly, thank you for what you do, because you're helping a lot of people that I care a lot about. Karen Sharpless, you mentioned, Janet Caudell, people I know and love personally, and they're just the tip of the iceberg for people I know that are working with you. And anytime somebody's helping make people I care about's world better, they mean the world to me. And you have always come from contribution, and you're a catalyst and an impact player. And I hope I am always on your team, buddy, because I don't want to be anywhere else.
Yeah, thank you, man. I really, really appreciate that, more than you know. And thank you so much for your friendship and mentorship. And I love you, man. You're the best.
Love you too, buddy. I love you too.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an episode of the Daily Dose of Positivity and Productivity. Recap of the action items. You have to get your 125 done this week. Get your 50 VIP forms filled out. Hey, listen, surprise me. Somebody finished this week. Do 150 of your top 150. Figure out who they are, identify them, and do 150 conversations, and do 150 VIP forms, and do 150 notes. Somebody just blow it out of the water. You tell me, here's the deal. You do that. You let our team know that you've done the 150. I'm talking to you, Angela Gibbons. I'm talking to you, Jana. I'm talking to you. You'll be on a Daily Dose episode, and we will talk about your experience and what has happened from your doing that project, that experiment. And I'll have you on the Daily Dose, and we'll talk about it, and we'll share how to refer you, and we'll share more about you and your life. That's what we want to do. Remember, bottom line, this has been the most awesome wake-up call. We're going to call it the Great Float, because we have this opportunity to be in this suspended set of sensory deprivation, and we can literally get clarity. Clarity is power. What is the most important thing? And we need to keep the most important thing the most important thing. And as we all know, that's the most important thing. So I hope that you make the Daily Dose part of every one of your days. It's 1 p.m. Eastern time every single day right here in the Generosity Generation group. And I want you to make the centerpiece of your day the masterpiece of your day. Now your job is to implement right now. Implement something. I don't care what it is, but the next 30 minutes is your instant implementation time. Get something done in the next 30 minutes, share it in the Generosity Generation group. We'll check it out. We'll help you if you need it. But the bottom line is, welcome to the Generosity Generation. We love you. We're here to help. And we will see you next time on the Daily Dose.
See you, buddy.